I'm not gonna hurt anybody. I don't want no trouble. No trouble. I'm sorry. I just want some chips. I want some chips. That's all. All I want some chips. See, the chip. That's it. Turn that over, man. It's burning. It's burning. Turn it over. It's burning. I just want some chips. Oh. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. I don't want no trouble. No trouble. I'm sorry. I just want some chips. I want some chips. That's all. All I want some chips. See, the chip. That's it. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. I don't want no trouble. No trouble. I'm sorry. I just want some chips. I want some chips. That's all. All I want some chips. See, the chip. That's it. Turn that over, man. It's burning. It's burning. Turn it over. It's burning. I just want some chips. Oh.
Welcome back. When was the last time you wrote an actual check or bought something with cash? Swiping and tapping our cards and our apps are not just the easiest way to spend money, they're the safest way, unless, of course, we misplace our phones or our wallets, and then it's a nightmare. It is hard to misplace your hands, however. And soon your hand may be all that you need to buy anything that you can afford and many things that you can't. Because a company called Motb is developing a very teeny, tiny chip. You see it there in the X-ray? That should creep you out. The chip is like the ones that are found in smart credit cards or debit cards, and the chip gets embedded just under your skin and makes your whole hand a credit card. Joining me now is Wojtek Perota. He's the CEO and founder of Motb. Okay, Wojtek, this is so futuristic and out there, but walk me through how it actually works.
Hey, so first of all, thanks for having me. Let's look at the chip as a super small part that you can use wherever contactless payments are accepted. So it's exactly the same NFC technology, which stands for near field communication, and therefore it can be used only for the near field communication payments. So therefore you cannot be tracked, you cannot be monitored, you cannot be spied with that implant because it's exactly the same technology as credit card.
So here's my worry, is that you can accidentally buy something by just having your hand too close to a machine, or you could accidentally have your data all stolen by shaking someone's hand, because a lot of times we protect our cards in cases that can't be penetrated. But if it's in your hand, it's really hard to do that.
It's not that simple, to be honest. First of all, you cannot lose money when you are shaking hands with anyone, because the implant is the passive tag and it doesn't have any internal source of energy. And therefore, the only option to get the read of that implant is to put it in the near field of terminal. So therefore, the other implant, which is inside of the other person's hand, is not capable of processing information. You need to have that source of energy, and only terminals that you can see at the moment are capable of providing that energy. So that's one thing. The other thing is that you definitely cannot lose your money because of the fact that you tap in a random place. Why? Because the implant is so small compared to the credit card. Normally, of course, when you tap the credit card, the terminal, it gets the read instantly. With the implant, it's a little bit different because you need to be super precise. And therefore, if someone is touching your hand, finding this perfect sweet spot, because that's how we need to look at it, you would realize at least 10 times that something is going on with your hand. So that's
do you have it? Wojtek, do you have it in your hand right now?
Yeah, of course. Actually, the x-ray that you saw was for my hand, and that's how it looks. On my hand.
So show me your hand. Is it possible to see it at all? It's just barely standing out, right? Like it looks like maybe a little like a scar.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm popping it a little bit.
Oh man, that's crazy. Did you have a doctor insert it?
Yeah, of course, that's part of the deal because we are only building the implants. And when it comes to the installations, we want the whole experience to be as safe as possible. And therefore, we build a network of partners all across Europe and the US. So, therefore, if you are ordering an implant from our side, it's of course shipped to you, but then you need to schedule the appointment with one of the specialists who will just set it up for you.
So, do you use it? Like, do you go up to a cashier and say, "Yeah, I'll just tap my hand," and if that's the case, what's the reaction from the sales clerks?
Yeah, of course. I've been testing it myself since the very beginning. I have been the first person to get it installed, and reactions are pretty wild, to be honest. Sometimes people just don't care, but because when they are stuck in the office for like 10 hours, they just do not care. They just care about having the payment to be processed. But sometimes the reactions are really extreme because when I tap my hand and there's clearly nothing here inside of the loaf or anything else, anywhere else, they are just asking how the hell is that possible? You need to have a wart somewhere down here in your shirt. But when I'm just taking it down and seeing and showing that okay, there's nothing out there, then the conversation begins. But in most cases, it turns out to be like a positive conversation because as long as explain how it works and what's actually inside, they're pretty much optimistic about it. So there is an instant.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's still a lot of regulatory there. I mean, this is a long way before it's mass market appeal, but it is really interesting to see that you're on the leading edge of this and that you're doing it yourself as your lead guinea pig. Wojciech Paprota, thanks so much for being on. I want to stay with you on this story to see how you do with the business. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider.
First off, I want to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash. All right. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Okay, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. All right. To the Akim out there on the highways and byways, making their bodies a living sacrifice. All right. As the scriptures tell us to do so. All right. Being obedient to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. Spreading the good news. I want to say shalom to you brothers. All right. To the Akwap that's out there listening and learning in silence. All right. Reverencing your husbands if you have one at home. All right. I want to say shalom to you sisters. All right. As you can see, some people say the Motb, B is is sin, right? But it's clear what they are implementing and gradually trying to push and make, if you will, and make normal, okay, amongst the people. All right. And this is what the Apostle John was seeing, all right, over 2,000 years ago, man. Okay. And it's just now coming into fruition to where they're more easier to push it upon the masses of people, right? But we were warned about this process. We were warned about this situation, okay? What was we warned about it? Hey, John warned us when he was on the Isle of Patmos, man. Okay? When he was segregated on the Isle of Patmos, right? He had the vision from the Lord. Okay? The Lord gave him a vision of what was going to befall, all right, us in the last days. And this was one of these visions. Okay? Revelation chapter 13, Verse 15 says this. We read, and he had power. Okay? He had power. Who is he? All right? Esau Edom. All right? Who Job 9 and 24 describes as the wicked. You know, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. Okay? Back to Revelation 13 and 15 says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. All right? And how is he, one of the ways is he's having power? Well, we just seen it, right? Through his news. Okay? To be able to push this, okay, amongst the masses of people. Okay? Why? For total control of their new system. Right? This is one of the ways that they have power, right? Through their media. Media is a major form of war. They can be able to push whatever narrative they want to push, right? Through their media first. And this is how they gradually, all right, when they want to change some things up, this is how they try to gradually make it acceptable. Is through their media. That's one of the ways. It says this, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? That the image of the beast should both speak. How is it going to speak? Because it's going to come into fruition. It's going to come to life, all right? Right before our eyes. It says, and he calls that as many, and I'm sorry, Salakia, and calls that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay, and what's your example of that? You had a guy called Muammar Gaddafi and another guy called, Saddam Hussein, right? Those are two examples on a larger scale, right, of who did not want to worship the image of the beast anymore. Right? And what happened to those people? Two people. Hey, they was put to death. The results of that they both were put to death. Why? Because they did not want to be a part of the monetary system, okay, of this image, of this beast. Okay? So they were put to death. Okay? They didn't want to deal with the U.S. currency anymore. All right? They were dealing with the gold standard. Okay? All right? Verse 16 says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, right? Free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay? This is why we say charagma. Because when you look up that M to the A to the R to the K word, that's what it says. All right?
Strong's G 5480. Charagma.
Charagma. All right? Which means what? A stamp. And imprinted charagma. All right? Slacky. It said, of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the what? Antichrist or anti-Messiah. Right? It says, the mark branded upon horses. Okay? Thing carved. Right? So if you carve anything, that means you have to dig into, literally, you have to dig into it, something. Like what? A sculpture. Graven work. Okay? So this would be a stamp, or more so like, if you will, a barcode. All right? Digitally. Imprinted. Right? As it said. Right? Inside of you. Whether it be in your forehead or whether it be in your hand. Okay? something physical, something tangible. This is why it said a thing carved. Why? And this thing will be able to load up your medical history, right? This thing will be able to load up your finances, okay? All right? All types of information and data, all right? Because this is more so the fourth industrial revolution is like whoever has the data, all right? Whoever controls the data will be in power. All right? Information. It used to be to where, hey, whoever controls the money controls the world, but now it's whoever controls the data. All right? And this is the war. This is that, Motb. This is that charagma, man. It says graven work, a scratch or etching. So when you scratch something, what? You tend to bleed. That means you had to break, all right, the outer surface of the skin to be able to imprint something into your body. That grain of rice, all right, or that seat H to the I to the P. That Eddie Murphy, as you've seen on the beginning of the clip, right? And this is what's going on. It's not sin, man. All right. If the Motb was sin, then what is Romans chapter 3, starting at verse 21 is talking? What is that talking about? When they say what? We all have sinned, and we're going to get that in a minute. Okay? But what is that talking about? It says as a badge of servitude, right? No different than when they marked us in chattel slavery. What did they do? They put a stamp on us, all right? Or they put an earring on us, all right? And they gave us papers saying, okay, that's Master Joe's slave, all right? Or that's Master Harvey's slave, okay? How can I identify as this being his slave? Oh, he had that print on him. He's marked. Okay, so it's different ways to mark someone. All right, it's different ways to mark your slaves. All right, and with this NWO headed here is already here. This way of marking their slaves, all right, is through this Motb. This grain of rice that will be imprinted into the ones, all right, that the Lord has not preserved. But the Lord has preserved certain men, which is the elect, all right, to not bow a knee to this devil. Okay? Let's go to the root. It says this, Karax.
Strong's G 5482, Charax. Charax.
Right? It says a pill or steak, right? So on those old vampire movies, right? They had a pill and steak, right? And to be able to kill the vampire, what did they do? They hit the pill with the steak to be able to what? Penetrate through the heart. Well, this is what it's explaining right here. All right, a pelicide or a rampart. It says pale between which earth, stones, trees, and timbers are heaped and packed together. You see that? To sharpen to a point. All right, and this is how you know. It has to be something. It's going to be something sharp that they're going to actually impale into you. All right. It's letting us know right here. An idea of scratching. Through the idea of scratching. You see that? So this thing is real, man. And it's here. But what they're doing now is they're gradually, right? They're gradually implementing this procedure. All right? And this is how you control the masses and get the masses to be able to agree with it, right? You do a little bit by a little bit. All right? And then you get people going on like this guy. All right? Like this guy right here. To say, oh, it's perfectly safe. Okay? It's perfectly safe. Oh, a doctor had to insert it and such, you know? You see it? So, you see, as you can see, C to the H to the I to P, the size of a grain of rice in your hand. Revelation 13 tells us about that. All right, let's go back. It says, to sharpen to a point, akin to, all right, through the idea of scratching a stake, okay, by implication. All right. So this thing is definitely not sin. All right. And let's prove that, because if that's the case, all right, if the Motb is sin, then what is this talking about? All right. Let's start at verse 21. Oh, what did it say? Justification by faith, right? Romans 3 and 21 says this, but now the righteousness of the Most High, all right, without the law is manifest, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Salaki. Okay. It says, even the righteousness of the Most High, which is by faith of Yahushua Mashiach, unto all and upon all them that believe. For there is no difference. Guess what this says? For all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High. You see that? So what is sin? Hey, the sin is what? The transgression of the law. Right? Let's pull it up. What is sin? Transgression of the law. Hold on, that's First John. Bear with me. For sin is First John 3 and 4. All right, this is sin. For whosoever committeth sin transgresseth the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. All right. So if sin is the transgression of the law, and right here in Romans chapter 3, verse 21 says, verse 23 says, for all have sinned, meaning for all have transgressed the law and come short of the glory of the Most High, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Yahushua Mashiach. Okay? So this said for all have sinned. So if all have sinned, then that means all of us have the Motb. Don't make sense, right? This is letting us know, hey, that Motb is going to be something physical and tangible that's going to be inserted into us. All right? Literally. Hey, we all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High. Do we all have the Motb? No. Ezekiel 9 and 4 says this. this mark and Ezekiel 9 and 4's mark is totally different. Let's go there. Let's go there. Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 4 says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city. All right? Through the midst of Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem, right? Israel was a what? A people before it was a place. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Now let's look up this mark. Let's look up what this says. All right? This mark is what? The Wa.
Strong's H8420. Tav.
Tav, which is the Wa, right? It says desire, mark. Mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. No different than when the Passover. Hey, what did we use? We used what? The blood of the lamb to put on our doorposts. Okay? Why did we do that? For exemption, that the death angel would pass over our house and wouldn't visit us in our house. Okay? So it was a spiritual exemption. All right? That death angel would not destroy no one with that blood on the post. No different than what's going on now. No different than what? This is Ezekiel 9 and 4. But instead of physical blood, it's what? Spiritual blood. Okay, let's go back to Romans 3, because this is what it just said. Because that blood exempts us from judgment. Okay? It says this. Verse 25 says, matter of fact, verse 24, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Yahushua Mashiach, whom the Most High has set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood. You see that? To declare the righteousness for the remission of sins, right, that are past through the forbearance of the Most High. You hear that? So this is what Ezekiel 9 and 4 is talking about. Hey, this is that mark of exemption. Okay? So it's going to be a spiritual thing. Hey, through that spiritual blood that exempts us from destruction or judgment. Why? Because we won't take that physical mark. You get it? That Revelations 13 and 16 pursues too. All right? So the Motb is not sin, okay? It is not sin. Ezekiel 9 and 4 is talking about the spiritual mark of blood. You see it right here. To declare the righteousness and remission of sins. Hey, for we all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High. Okay, so with that being said, man, you know, the prophet John tells us over 2,000 years ago, the Lord gave him a vision about that Motb. All right, in Revelations 13 and 16. And those who have that Ezekiel 9 and 4, that mark, that Tawa of exemption, will not take it. But the ones who have marked for death, they will. And guess what? We'll know in those times. The scriptures say, and then you're going to know who my chosen is. Okay? So with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash, wa Abba Abba Kwam Yashra.